Welcome you to the Minimalism and Automotive Insight Series 2025, sponsored by Jasper Colin. We are thrilled to have with us today Adam Bernard.
Basically, it boils down to the idea that less is more, and that applies to things beyond design as well. I think one of the misconceptions out there, and in doing some research on this, getting ready for this, there's a misconception that minimalist means cheap. I actually saw an article that talked about the 5 coolest minimalist vehicles, and they were all very inexpensive basic cars, but that's not necessarily a restrictive category when it comes to talking about minimalist design. I was also reminded of Coco Chanel, who said, accessories are what makes or marks a woman. But then she said, before you leave the house, look in the mirror and take at least one thing off.
Yes.
And so I think that's what we're seeing more of in automotive design these days, is that approach to simplify things a little. A couple of good examples. The first one that popped into my head when I was approached on this was Rolls-Royce, oddly enough, which you don't normally think of as minimalist. But if you go back to the launch of the Rolls-Royce Ghost in 2020, they actually used the phrase, what they call their post-opulent design philosophy, rejecting superficial expressions of wealth. And it kind of is a response to some of the glitzy, overwrought designs that we've seen, not only just in automotive, but in fashion as well. Another example is the new Mini Cooper. And I actually just bought one a couple of weeks ago. I actually have a 72 Mini, so I've been a fan of the Mini for a while. Needed a new daily driver, and Mini's new design philosophy is what they call charismatic simplicity. And if you compare the current vehicle to the previous, it's a cleaner look. There are fewer cut lines, fewer little details added on. The interior is quite simple as well. There are still some mechanical switches, but a lot fewer of those. And that's one of the things that we're seeing there too, is the focus on the virtual controls. And it was an attempt to both simplify the vehicle and also to get back to the roots of the original Mini back in 1959. The last example I can think of at the moment would be the Cybertruck. Love it or hate it, it is a very minimalistic design. And yeah, there have been lots of jokes made about how it's put together, but you got to remember that a lot of that design was driven by the manufacturing, which is also, in some cases, it's pure aesthetics that's driving this minimalism, but in some cases, there's a process behind it. And when you are building a large vehicle with stainless steel body panels that you can't easily curve, doing a flat panel design where it comes out unpainted, so you don't need a paint shop, is what drove that whole look of the vehicle. And Tesla had already kind of made a name for itself with a minimalist interior. I think in terms of the needs that it caters to, it kind of ties into the larger, product design changes that we're seeing going on, where other industries are also looking at cleaner, more minimalist design. So, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people buy a vehicle that reflects their personality and their own needs. So that as they buy other products that are more minimalist looking, then they will look for a vehicle that perhaps is more minimalist as well. And because that reflects, kind of how they live their lives. And then behind that, because there are opportunities for minimalist design to impact sustainability, there are customers for whom sustainability is a big purchase driver, and they will actively look for a vehicle that is more recyclable, that has more recycled and recyclable materials. So that ties into minimalism design. And then if minimalism can help you reduce costs, that's something that an automaker can pass on to the consumer as well. And you can, if you have a press release, you can say, we saved you X number of dollars by using this material and this design approach. And that, when you think about it, that approach can also help an automaker attract talent too. If you're smart enough to figure out how to meet consumer needs and reduce cost and give them something aesthetically pleasing, that's a company that a young engineer might want to work for.
Every single example you gave was very specific and extremely helpful for our market research, so we appreciate you. Thank you so much, Adam.